All right. Three, two, one. What is going on, guys? Super excited to finally make this video right here. So, right now, we are going to be going over the rule book for specifically singles. And obviously, I am a man. I am doing the men's open, not the pro, as my first time doing high rocks. We're going to just skim through this rule book because I'm not going to lie, I don't have a lot of time. I'm actually supposed to be going to the airport in the next like 20, 30 minutes on my way to Orlando. And then me and my cousin are going to go down to Miami. So you guys will see that vlog. And obviously, earlier in the video, you guys saw my reaction to my body fat percentage. So shout out to me for putting in that work, getting to 16%, baby. I was at 22 5 months ago, and hard work pays off. But right now, let's just start with the workout stations. So obviously, these are the standards that I was training for. So we have our 1,000 meters for the ski erg. The sled push is 152 kilograms. If you do the math, that's like 320-ish pounds. Let me do the math real quick with a calculator. I think it's conversion rate is 2.2. So yeah, 334 pounds. Divide that by divide that by 45s. It's about 7.5 plates almost. So that's what I was using at Los Campeones when I was training. The sled pull is a little bit lighter. That one's going to be about 5 plates. So let me do the math on that one too. 103 times. I was a stats major in college and I'm still using a calculator. Whatever. 225. So not too bad. That's about 5 plates, I think. Yeah. Then the burpee broad jumps, 80 meters, not too bad. Rowing, 1,000 meters again, easy work. Farmers carries, so 24 kilograms, that's about 44 pounds, I think. Times 2.2. 52. Okay, so 52-pound kettlebell. So I was training with 50-pound kettlebells, so that one's covered. The lunges, I bought a sandbag lunge, but I never used it. I would just use the free weight. And yeah, that's about 45 pounds. It says it right there. And then the wall balls, I actually used this exact weight, 14 pounds. Wall balls was my biggest challenge. I won't lie to you guys. So if I could rank these super quick, I'm going to rank toughest to easiest. Toughest is going to be wall balls for me just because it involves a lot of technique more than I thought. And that ball falling down and if you don't catch it properly, like have your hands underneath you when you're catching it, or underneath the ball when it's coming down, it screwed my hand. Like I felt joint pain all over. So I don't know if that's just a personal issue or what, but just the technique that's involved with that. You have to perfect 3-2-1. You have to perfectly thrust the ball up, throw the ball up. And then as it's coming down, the strategy is to slowly catch it in a squat and have your hands underneath so that you're catching it in a strong position as opposed to just catching it, based off your hand strength. So it's just a lot more technique. I would say lunges and farmers carries. Farmers carries is not hard. It's a lot. 200 meters is a long way to go with that kind of weight. So and then that's like after you're doing all the other stations too, after you're doing these other stations specifically. But lunges and farmers carries, or no, it's going to be wall balls, lunges, burpees. No, farmers carries, then burpees, and then everything else is not too much of a challenge for me. I feel like the sled push and pull, I got the techniques down. The ski erg was actually tougher for me to get that right than the sled pull and the push, to be honest, because I didn't practice that one enough. But anyway, I'm going to be in the 25 to 29 category. My heat is at 8:10. So yeah, a lot. I got to wake up really early. There's going to be a lot of prep with that. Let's see. Skip all this. So one of the things that I really wanted to look into is I had specific questions about the ski erg machine and the row machine. Hold up. I found this before. Purpose. 9.1. So if you search by number, it'll be easier to navigate through this PDF. And here, note the damper setting on the ergometer is preset to a resistance of 6. So again, I was training at a 6 to 7 resistance in the gym. So I just really wanted to make sure that that was correct. And it's the same, I believe, for the rower as well. Yeah. So for the row machine as well. So that's very important. But let's quickly go through the rules for each station, and then I'll skim through this a bit more. But yeah, okay. So 1,000-meter skier. So prior to starting, the monitor will be reset by a judge. The racer must have both feet on the skier platform at all times during the exercise. So that makes sense. Lifting the feet during the execution of the exercise is allowed. Okay. The racer's heels are permitted to hang over the edge of the skier base, but must not come into contact with the floor. So again, just as long as your feet are planted at the skier on that platform, you're good. Where it comes down at, I don't know how to describe it, but Hunter McIntyre was saying, like, if this is your foot, right? You want your foot, you want that thing to be aligned where your foot is right here, like where it connects down. So maybe I can explain that better in another video, but yeah, that's kind of how my foot placement is set there. All right, so sled push. So each racer will be assigned a sled lane by a member of the judging team. It is mandatory that the racer uses the assigned sled lane. Both sled and racer must be completely behind the white line prior to starting. Yep. Both sled and racer must stay within their designated lane and not interfere with a neighboring lane in any way. I think it's going to be a bit of a challenge for me just to, keep it straight. So that's the issue that I have sometimes when I'm pushing it. I do feel like I kind of swerve a little bit left and right, but I'll be fine. The sled must always pass the 12.5 mark end of the lane entirely before changing direction. As soon as the racer completes 4 times 2.5-meter lanes, and the entire sled passes the line, the station is complete. If the racer completes less than 4 lanes, a penalty of 3 minutes. Damn. Yeah, that's a lot. Okay. Racers, first infringement will result in a formal warning. Okay. Second infringement will result in 15-second penalty. Each subsequent infringement will incur additional 15 seconds. Oh my God. So no rushing that. But yeah, here's the standards for the weight. The women's pro and the men's share the same weight. Very interesting. All right. So here's the sled pool. So yeah, you're in this little box, and from what I know, you really got to keep your feet inside of these lines. So that's going to be the challenge, because my strategy is to lean back, pull. But as I'm pulling, I'm going to be looking down at my feet, kicking the rope to the left or to the right, probably to the right, and then just repeating that process of just slowly walking it back. That's going to be my strategy. All right, so let's read this real quick. Each racer will be assigned a sled lane by a member of the judging team. It is mandatory that the racer uses the assigned sled lane. Both sled and racer must be completely within their respective racer's box prior to starting. At all times, the racer must remain with their designated working station, known as the racer's box, at each of their lane. Racers are not permitted to step on the solid line at the front and back of the racer's box. Okay. The sled must always pass 12.5 mark. Once the racer pulls the entire sled past the 12.5 mark, the racer then runs to the opposite of their lane and pulls the sled back. So this station is just going to be a little bit sloppy. So I'm just hoping that, like, if I can get a really good start to the race, I don't have too many people next to me. That's the issue I've seen in some of the videos. Is like there's so many people right next to each other, and the ropes are just clumped on the floor. And the first time I was practicing this, I slipped and fell, and I didn't hurt myself, but it was just funny because the rope management is part of the movement. You have to think about everything, how you're strategizing, pulling the weight, how you're managing the rope. Again, I've seen racers like Hunter and some of the influencers and the top level guys, the pro athletes. just raw dog in the pool, you can do that. But I think it's important to strategize what body parts you're really using. So, for example, with the row machine, I mainly use my legs. But if I feel like near the end of that session, because I remember one of the times where I was doing the 1,000 meters, I had done other stations, and I remember someone telling me like, "Hey, you could, keep it in a straight line and bring it to, go pull you start forward, you lean forward, right? You don't pull it with your arms, you pull it with your body, then you pull it to your abdomen, so you keep a straight line as opposed to like pulling it to your chest. The chest movement is good when your legs are tired, so you can switch up that strategy. So what I'm trying to explain with this is, if you want to use your upper body, you know, that might be a good strategy. But I think for me early on in the race, I'm probably going to use my legs more and focus on the upper body when I get to like farmer's carry, or the burpees at some point. But I'm using the step up method. So I don't know. Hopefully that helps. We're gonna see, man. I just don't want to pop a Charlie horse. That's my biggest thing. That's my biggest thing. But in the next vlog, I really need to think about how each station affects the next one. You know what I'm saying? So again, if the racer completes less than 4 lanes, a penalty of 3 minutes per missing lane will be applied. As soon as the racer has completed 4 times 2.5 lanes, blah, 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 station is complete. A racer's first infringement, formal warning. So you get formal warning, and then you get a 15-second penalty. Then each subsequent infringement will incur additional 15-second penalty. A penalty of 3 minutes will be applied for each missing lane. If racer completes less than 4 lanes. Yeah, so you got to keep track of that. 103 kilograms. All right, next. This is where I got confused, but I practice making sure that when I do my burpees, that distance, that small distance of 30 centimeters is there. But obviously, it's not perfect. And I've seen so many videos of people just doing it so sloppy and it doesn't even matter. All right, the racer must start by completing a burpee. Okay, I didn't know that. The first burpee of each section starts with both hands placed on the ground / contrasting colored tape behind the white start line with the racer's chest on the ground. In this context, chest on the ground is defined as the nipple line, making clear contact with the ground. Right. The racer may then jump or step out of the burpee before broad jumping forward over the start line. During all broad jumps, both feet must be parallel for taking off and landing. Yep. So you got to keep your feet aligned, no staggered feet, as it says. Well, yeah, that's just saying you can't be on the line. Yeah, your feet kind of have to be aligned right here. They should have showed a picture of like staggered feet, but whatever. The racer, okay, may then jump and step out of the burpee, blah, blah, blah. Okay, racers are permitted to use a knee when coming out of the bottom of the burpee position, okay? When jumping or stepping out of any burpee, the feet cannot go beyond the racer's fingertips. Got it? Okay. When starting all subsequent burpees, the racer's hands must be placed no more than 30 centimeters forward. The 30 centimeter measures from the base of their racer's palm where their hands meet their wrists, okay? Once the hands are placed on the ground, they cannot be moved. So I'm trying to figure out if you could bring your feet all the way up to your hands. I guess so. If maybe they're saying like you can't, like this is the minimum. I thought this was the max distance, but, or like you have to have that space from your feet to your hands. I got to follow up on that one. 30 centimeters measures from the base of the racers. Okay. Racer may then jump or step backwards into the burpee station position. In the bottom of all burpees, the racer's chest must clearly touch the ground. I get that. If grid lanes are in place, then there's a guide. There's as a guide only. It is not mandatory to stay in the same lane. A faster racer can cross lanes to overtake a slower racer. So that's definitely something I got to think about, or maybe somebody's going to do that to me. Who knows? The length of each burpee broad jump is up to the racer. So yeah, my strategy, I didn't really do this in my training, but my strategy is to try to jump forward as much as I can. because you're just trying to cover the distance and you're not necessarily trying to do too many burpees, honestly. If you can jump more forward, right, you're going to do less burpees. Where turning points are used at the end of each section, racers are not required to perform the movement around them. However, the racer must jump across every white start finish line with both feet fully crossing the line at the end of the section before turning. Each new section must begin from the designated start line, chest on the ground with hands placed behind the white line. The workout station is completed once the racer jumps over the finish line. If either foot lands on the finish line, both burpee broad jump must be completed. Another burpee broad jump must be completed. Oh my God, I can't read. It is the racer's responsibility to make it clear for the judges that they're meeting all movement standards. So hopefully they're chill. Racer's first infringement. Okay, you get a formal warning. Starting to see a pattern here. You get a formal warning, 15-second penalty, and each subsequent infringement will incur additional 15-minute penalties. But I forgot where we read it at, where it said like 3-minute penalty. Is crazy. All right, the rowing machine, pretty straightforward. Racer's feet must be on the rower's foot plates. I'm going to make sure that my foot is actually tied in to the foot plate, because I can't really row without that. I have to have my foot placed in there. So, yeah, that's going to be my strategy there. And again, we talked about the damper. Same thing with the formal warning. If the racer leaves before completing the 1,000 meters, they will receive a time penalty. So yeah, you got to make sure you get that done. All right, Dan, we're almost at time. All right, 200 meters, kettlebell farmers carries. Depending on the venue, achieving 200 meters may involve multiple laps. So that's what I'm worried about with this. Like, I'm trying to figure out, like, I got to look at the map again. Here's the Hyrox Miami map. Okay, so the farmer's carry is 2 laps. Awesome. I should have went over this with you guys in the beginning of the video, but basically this is the Miami map. And from what I know it, based on what I saw from social media with the coaches, you start here at the Red Bull start tunnel. And the first run is going to be 3 laps. So you're going to pass the in once, twice, and on the 3rd time, that's when you go in. We're going to go down to the ski erg. You're going to go out. And then from stations 2 to 8, you're going to do 2 laps. So you're going to go 1, 2, go in, and then repeat. And luckily, because apparently a lot of the other Hyrox stations or Hyrox maps in different cities were way more out of order, but this one is in order from 1 to 5. So pretty neat, right? So again, you're going to, come in, number 2, go out, repeat the 2 laps, and the sled pull, then the burpee broad jumps, then you got the rowing station. Then here's where it gets a little confusing because we have the sandbag lunges, the farmer's carries up here. So I'm just going to have to remember that. So you got 6 and 7 up here, and then wall balls here. But I actually like how this map is laid out. This black area, obviously, this is where the spectators are going to be. I'm going to have my cousin recording me, so shout out to him. And the cool thing is, if you guys notice, they have water stations. So I'm definitely going to stop for a quick chug or a quick sip of water, but I don't plan on stopping at all. Like, if I don't drink any water, it is what it is. Like, I'll drink at the end. That's how I'm training for this shit. This little bridge over here, you can cross over here. So this is actually realistically what it's going to look like. So it's pretty cool. I really can't wait. But yeah, this was my general training plan based on ChatGPT. And I also use this Gymshark page too for training. So I'll put a link in the bio. But basically the first phase, the first month was just straight up aerobic base. So running zone 2, 5Ks all the time, doing long runs as well. And then switching up the training, I had to do a lot of interval running. So that was tough to transition. But once I started to get the hang of that, that's where we got to step 3. I know it says taper, but I tapered a bit on I did less heavy lifting because I was doing a lot of that in the beginning. So I tapered on that, but I didn't taper on running. continue doing all my runs, 5Ks. I slowed down on doing like 10Ks a lot, but I was spreading that out anyway. And I've just been focused on this phase 3 is just like practicing the stations, wall balls and skier, because I needed to practice those exact movements. And I wasn't doing that. I think early on too, I was just more into CrossFit. So now that I'm really deeply into Hyrox now, it's like that's my main focus. And honestly, that's probably going to be my focus for the next few years. I really like Hyrox. I like training for it. I like doing all this running. So a lot of things I could take away from CrossFit, but this is where I want to be, honestly. But we'll see Saturday, man. All right, let's quickly get through this. So racer must carry both kettlebells at all times. Kettlebells must be carried with both arms extended by the racer's side. So they're really strict about this shit. Each missing lap will result in a 3-minute penalty. That's crazy. So yeah, you got to make sure you go through everything. Just follow the fucking rules. Workout station is completed once the racer carries the kettlebells across the finish line and returns them to the correct box, ensuring that the handles remain in the upright position. Yeah, I think you could stop, but you can't move forward if you don't have the kettlebell in your hand. Let me see. Begins and ends with the removal or return of the kettlebells from the marked box next to the workout station. The racer has to carry both kettlebells at all times while they move. So you can stop, but when you stop, you have to stop in place and you can't move forward at all. All right, next, sandbag lunges. Sandbag lunge begins and ends with removal or return of the sandbag from the marked area next to the start and finish line. The racer starts by standing tall with both feet behind the line before beginning their next lunge. During each lunge, the trailing knee must clearly touch the ground. Each repetition ends with the racer standing tall, kneeing, and hips fully extended. I saw videos on this where, like, if you lean too forward, they hit you with a penalty or make you redo it. So my goal is to just stand up straight with it. Gonna go down, do my lunge, and then I'm gonna do a little pause in between each lunge. I'm not gonna just knee down. Like, I'm gonna knee down, stand up tall, knee down, stand up tall, and each time just take a breath. So I don't know. That's my strategy. Lunges must be alternating. The racer can either lunge continuously or stop between each lunge with both feet parallel to the ground. So I don't want to cross the line with that, because I feel like some people don't really follow that rule when they're just continuously lunging. It is required that the racer's front foot must completely cross the white line at the end of each lane. The racer does not need to lunge around the turning points. Station is complete once the racer's leading foot completely crosses the line. They have a lot of penalties. 15-second penalty, a formal warning before that. Then you get a 30-second penalty if the racer fails to return their sandbag to the correct area. Oh my God, bro. And then you got to pick up the right one too. So I guess mine's is gray. Yeah. All right, last one. I got to edit this video. Hopefully it's going to be a lot quicker than, oh my God, I've been recording for 25 minutes. All right, 100 reps. This shit is crazy. It is the racer's responsibility to ensure they have selected the correct weight of the wall ball. So again, the wall ball is going to be gray. So gray is my color. That's all I got to know. Racer must start by standing tall, hips and knees extended, holding the ball with both hands. It is not permitted for the racers to pick the wall ball from the ground and immediately throw it at the target. The racer then squats below parallel. This is something I learned recently. You have to squat first. Squat below parallel. So it's going to show you right here. So I guess parallel is like parallel to your hips or something like that. Okay. Below parallel and throws the ball with both hands as they stand up, striking the correct target on the wall rig. This is counted as one repetition. Each wall ball throw must strike the designated target. Female racers must hit their target in the strike zone. Male racers must hit their target in the strike zone. So we have two different zones, two different strike zones. Ours is 3 meters, which is 9 feet, and theirs is a little bit under that. The racer then squats below parallel and throws the ball. Each wall ball throw must strike the designated target. Okay. After the ball touches the target, the racer either catches the ball and initiates the movement again, or alternatively, or alternatively, the racer allows the wall ball to hit the ground before starting the movement again. Okay, so my strategy is to split this up into sets of 16, 15, 14, 13, all the way down to 9. I know some people, especially the pros, are going to try to do like 20 or 40 at a time, but that's going to be my strategy. So now that I know that, I have to just make sure that I'm picking up the ball every time I drop it. Every time I'm done a set, I just have to make sure I know, like, hey, the ball's coming down, boom, just let it fall, take that break, and then pick it up, start in the squat, throw it up, and that's going to be 1 rep. So we don't throw the ball first. We pick up the ball from the ground, squat first below parallel, then hit the target. That's 1 rep. So just got to continue that. At the bottom position of the squat, the racer's hips must descend lower than their knees. So that's below parallel. Below parallel means the hips descend lower than the knees. Okay, so now I know that. Where no digital targets are in use, racers may only proceed to the finisher stage once their judge confirms the 100 valid wall balls. I don't know. I think I'd rather use the targeted system thing. I don't know if I trust these guys. I don't know. These judges, man, we'll see. Because I've been seeing some shit on social media. Racers are permitted to remove their shoes once they arrive at their designated target. The racer must place their shoes under the rig. Oh, okay, so we can take our shoes off. Nice. After completing 100 valid wall balls, the racer is required to take their shoes with them to the finish stage. Okay, racers must not run underneath the wall ball rig when making their way to the finisher stage. They do all the time, but whatever. They must go via the outside of the wall ball rig. If the racer breaches any of these requirements, the repetition will be deemed no rep. Oh, man. Ah, shit. And then you get these warnings. Okay. Yeah, we can skip all that. All right, guys. So, anti-doping. That's crazy. Do they even check for that shit? Like, I don't even know if they check. I did have a question about the clothing, but I think you just have to, whatever you carry on you just have to keep on you the whole time. You got to keep, like, I seen someone with a prop, like a fucking suitcase, because they were wearing a suit and that was their prop, so they were able to carry that the whole time throughout the race. I only plan on carrying, I'm gonna have my watch on me and sweatband, maybe an extra one just in case in my back pocket if it gets too sweaty. I guess these are forbidden: headphones, VR headsets, helmets. I can't think of anything else. We just went through everything. You got the penalties here. So yeah, link in the bio if you guys want to read more about this. I also have like an AI summary that I had of these rules that I should have probably just read to you guys, honestly. But yeah, wish me luck, guys. Can't wait. And I'm literally about to go catch my flight in the next 3 hours. So we'll see you guys in Miami. Let's get it.